while wearing PPE, if there is a concern and any breach of these practices, leave the patient care area where when safe to do and properly remove the change of PPE. Always remove carefully to always clean your hands even before wearing the PPE, and you will, it's just like self-assessment of your own hospital. This IPC committee will be doing this. Face shield ante deenlo eyes kuda cover aithayi along with nose and mouth, and goggles only for eyes, meter away from other patients. Post visual aids remaining patient in the area, in the triage area అనుకోండి. అప్పుడు ఇందాక డాక్టర్ హర్ష చెప్పినట్టు any patient should just directly go and attend the patient. Yes or no? But here, and again he will produce the infection. What all we are trying to do here is, how will transmission infectious agent, it goes to a reservoir, from there it will get exit, through any mode of transmission it will go to, all these are infective materials. They are going to come into this, going to interact with the patient or if they are implementing administrative controls using environmental and engineering controls. How many of our own family members are following it? So that's important. So hospital staff ki IPC ki this point becomes very important, that we follow all the steps to wash their hands. How many of you are washing for 20 seconds? Contain an outbreak, and also it will lower the risk of the hospital, healthcare facility itself, amplifying the outbreak. So role of IPC people, knowledge is important, have an understanding is it. Main benefits of IPC is protecting yourself, protecting your patient. Even in the COVID also, all the persons coming into the body and you also. We will never know from which format or with what we will get that infection, so that we will be protecting ourselves along with the patient. Because we are not expecting that every person in the hospital is COVID, every patient in the hospital is COVID. So it is like in a two-way process. We are protecting ourselves, at the same time we are also protecting the other patients who are also who also admitted as suspected COVID. We only consider positive when they are tested positive. Till then they are suspected. Now, in this point, since 2 days I am getting more information related to the results, which clearly says many things. It start because it is very important how you are going to prepare. Now, the most important point here, when you are already you are already in the part of the COVID control teams, so it becomes very important for all of us to follow the IPC, that is infection prevention and control. First thing tomorrow when you
which were ideas which were given for increasing, then there will be a reporting mechanism should be there. In the reporting mechanism, okay. And the one more thing in reverse triage is that the person can be discharged. Those who don't require any medical treatment for at least medical assistance for at least 96 hours, they can be reverse triage. Through this reverse triage, we can increase the bed space in our hospital, as we are taking these hospitals as a dedicated COVID hospitals. There will not be any other patients will be admitted in our time. There will be a exhaustion or burnout among the healthcare facility workers will be there. To follow that, we are following what you call it as a break period will be there. One fellow, he will do the duty, then he will have a break for around 1 day, then he can come further. Like that, they can plan for the duty roster for 1 week. After that, they will be given a rest for around 14 days, because they if they get infected during this period, during that period, if the person develops symptoms, then he can be tested for the COVID also. And the other thing like provision of hand sanitizers, there should be the more stressed one is there should be a separate hand washing area should be made available at the facility, and there should be perform regular environmental cleaning and disinfection, infection control and prevention practices. Restrict the visitors. We should. These are the other criteria which they have mentioned for an isolation facility. There should be an extracorporeal membrane oxygen facility should be there. There should be a negative pressure room should be there. But as these facilities are not there with us, what we prefer is the preferred one is the Natural cross ventilation should be there in that facility, so better to avoid AC in those areas. Next, coming to the hospital patient, this of the patient should be put in a single, he has shown us in the detail in the in COVID incident order 1627, I think, with that who should be those committee members. So please go through this and please make those committees endure, and they should be functional at our health facility. Next, coming to the OPD, in the OPD we should make a OPD in such a way that there should be a separate triage area outside our hospital. That means whoever the patient is coming to our hospital, first he should be visited to that triage area where that patient should be identified as a COVID or other diseases, then he should be shifted. In the triage area, especially we will call it as ARI clinic or some other ARI OP we will call, where all the respiratory patients who are having fever and cough or any other respiratory symptoms should be attended at that ARI clinic, because if we allow them to mingle with the other patients, if that we don't know that the coming patient can be a COVID positive patient or COVID negative patient. Suppose if it is a COVID positive patient, through that our other patients can get into the epidemic. That's why to prevent this we will be taking these precautions. Next objective is to provide prompt clinical care to COVID-19 patients, manage large number of cases, adequately train and equip, especially our other group D staff and nursing staff to be prepared, prevent the spread of respiratory diseases including the COVID-19 within the facility, provide timely and regular information to the surveillance system, because as I told you, the SARI and other surveillance system which are there to guide us in the containing of the outbreak at the community level, establishing the mechanism for external communication with the public. So next, coming to the COVID hospital planning, there should be emergency planning. The patients will come into a non-COVID patient who will be coming to our hospital, he can get infected. Because of that, this can turn into a nosocomial infections. So we should cautiously take what is the importance of our hospital needs to be prepared. Objective of the preparedness, hospital 3, which is currently varying in other countries. When we need to discharge is that when his throat sample, 2 throat sample, consecutive throat samples are negative, at that time only we can discharge the patient. Systems. So this one also we will just brief about this. We will just know what is the case definition of a SARI, severe acute respiratory illness surveillance system. These will be functioning to know whether there is how much transmission is on nasopharyngeal samples which were taken from the patient should be negative. Then that patient will be, we will identify the contacts and we will monitor for the symptoms. If we develop no, there will not be any symptoms, then that monitoring can be stopped. And if he develops the symptoms, then there will be test will be repeated for him, and that is on. They have given the few definition. If the where the patient is residing prior to 14 days of onset of his symptoms, he is considered in that district or that state line list. The patient will be it will be included. This is just for our information. If suppose for our health facility, a patient has come from another state or other district, what we need to know that where the patient has come, where he was residing prior to 14 days prior to the prophylaxis. So whom we should give the hydroxychloroquine? As you know that hydroxychloroquine, it can cause the QT prolongation, it can cause the arrhythmia. So for high risk contacts, we will prioritize giving these our hydroxychloroquine. Contacts, those who have come in contact with the body fluids or any other fluids of a confirmed case, how the community, we are working in the community. We, for any disease, what we do is first we will put a case definition to identify the testing. Also we have prioritized what sir mentioned in the RDK test. We are prioritizing 4% of the ventilators, those who repaired, though from the private hospitals and other government hospitals, we are procuring and we are arranging for the ventilators from these hospitals. Next, coming to the severe, mild to, there are around 81% of the cases which will be having a mild symptoms, And there will be another of the symptoms which were observed. Incubation period, it is 2 to 14 days. Symptoms which signs and symptoms which are most commonly is that fever and cough are not value for the COVID is 2, and the case fatality rate which was observed is 3, 1.8. Children are commonly affected in influenza, but 8 to 12 hours. So this is the one information which is required for us in disinfection and containment or infection and prevention control. And next, coming to the incubation period is ranging from 2 to 14 days. So this droplet nuclei, from there this infection will be converted into a fomite infection through our high hand pressed areas or through our hand touch. It can infect the second person because of our certain habits, like which behaviors are there, which we frequent touching of our droplet. It will be more than 5 micrometers, so the droplet cannot travel more than 1 meter. So this is the things which we need to do. As this is a droplet infection, please don't, if we use these things, our lower level staff might won't understand. So virus, it had 4 genotypes and other things. This is a more of regarding microbiological aspects. Status, we have around 17,000 confirmed cases and deaths were 543. These were the reported deaths, and this is the graph which we can show. Most of the graph, it shows that continuous source epidemic. So the graph is on a rising end. This is the various mortality and morbidity which we have seen through the COVID in other countries. Next, coming to I'll just come to our South Indian status. In the South India, Tamil Nadu is having the maximum number of cases, 1,477 cases. And we in Andhra Pradesh, as of this one yesterday, we had 647 cases. In that, good thing is that what the people won't talk about is the number of distress emergency. So these are the timeline of events. This is the number of cases which were reported as of yesterday on 17th April. We can see that it had crossed cases of unknown origin were reported. This is a brief history which we all know it is. So we will be just briefing and brushing through this presentation, and the next presentation will be on hospital preparedness. In the hospital preparedness, there are few areas like triage, how to manage the surge, cohorting of the patients. These 3 are the important topics which will be covered in the hospital preparedness. And the last but not the least one is infection prevention and control. Regarding infection prevention and control, Dr. Raghavendra Patel is going to brief us about this. These are our outline presentation for our hospital preparedness. So next, coming to the epidemiology of coronavirus, cluster containment strategy, dividing into red, orange and yellow zone. That is the public health response which we are taking. And the second front which I was mentioning about is at the hospital. In the hospital, what we are doing, we are going to treat the early diagnosis and the treatment to reduce.
But movement of people from one mandal to another mandal will not be permitted. These kind of precautions we are taking. But even then, the virus has travelled to all 4 corners of the district. We can't rule out it travelling to all the mandals. So I request Dr. Harshit and the doctor to come over and go through this presentation. Density of population is very high. We are containing in all municipalities. In rural areas also we would like to contain, treating each mandal as a unit. We have also banned intermandal, transport, intermandal traveling, all intermandal activities have been banned. Though relaxations have come into place from today onwards, we are actually not giving relaxations so far. Harshit and the other doctor who has come here to train you will tell you more about this. And we want to request you to keep all your hospitals ready for admissions. Because we already have 135 cases in NRI. But in no time, once the first line hospital gets 50% filled, we are supposed to move to the second line hospital. And as soon as the second line hospital gets 50% filled, third, and so on and so forth. So because with the advent of this rapid diagnostic kit and the beginning of this rapid diagnostic kit test, we are expecting that if it has gone into the community, we hope it has not yet gone to the community, but still we cannot rule out. But if it has gone to the community, then 12,500 is the first installment of the rapid diagnostic kits. Second installment also will come, and then third installment also will come if required. So looking at this number and looking into the future, we will require large number of, and looking at the rate of infection that is spreading in Guntur district, now we are trying to contain it to certain areas, certain pockets. We still have around 34 mandals which are not affected, 23 mandals are affected, and there are about 5 municipalities which are not affected, 8 municipalities are affected. 1,590 exactly, they have been allotted to us. So if going by the infection rate in the district, we may end up anywhere between 12,000 means 600 to 700. Now we are also going for rapid diagnostic kits, which we have just received. It's there in the lab. We are going to distribute it to all the mandals as per the protocol given by the government. And these rapid diagnostic kits, you must have heard that they are going to give us the results in about 10 minutes. And based on that result,
This will be a repetition for us, like clean workplace, hand hygiene, sterile.